this is really part 2 of the video that I did called The Destruction of America. I kind of ran out of time, and there's a lot of information I need to give you on the Defeat Disinfo organization as well as Main Street 1. So stick with me, folks, and I'll be right back. Hey everybody, this is Deb with Truthification Chronicles, and first of all, I want to thank you all that came to the premiere, or the first time that I've ever done a live stream. I know there were some bugs at the beginning, but we got them worked out, and hopefully next time it'll be a less painful transition time. But anyway, so, that's how things work. And as we were going through, there just wasn't enough time for me to get everything in on this topic, and I need to give you more information about 2 organizations in particular, and one of them is called Defeat Disinfo, and the other is the website Main Street 1, and a guy named Ben Resnik. So before we get into it, I want to remind you of this because Paul H. had a very good thing to say here. Please remember you are voting not just for the president in this election. Just as important is your vote for the House and Senate, governors, mayors, all the way down to school board members. Just remember who the people are who have put us in this lockdown for the last 6 months. And I might add on to that, these unelected officials that are making the policies that have, done this to us or made us wear masks or whatever the case is, those people are put in place by these elected officials. So someone that may seem like not that big of a person to vote for, like county commissioner, they're the people that appoint the county health director. So definitely be aware. Inform yourself. Find out who these people are. It's hard sometimes with the local things because they don't really tell you much about themselves. You don't know much unless you know them in the community. So just do the best you can. Try to find out information. If you get a chance to meet the candidates, do that. All right? Because I think it's really important for us to make sure that our votes put in good people all along the way, because it does start at home. It starts putting good people in local races and state races, and then also the federal races. So sometimes we focus too much on those and we forget about the state and local ones, but those are important too. So thank you again, Paul. I appreciate you saying that and reminding us of it because, wow, very important. I wanted to share this with you. Now, I don't know this person, but this is happening, and I just wanted to remind you that there are a lot of people these days that are paying a price merely for saying that they support President Trump. Now, it shouldn't be that way, obviously, but it is. So maybe keep this guy in your prayers. He said, I got fired from my job today because I support Trump. They found out. I don't even know how. I never felt so bad, people. Like my stomach just hurts. Dog, I'm praying for my family, y'all. So, yeah, pray for him. And down here says, I'm not even sure how they figured out, but I had a good relationship with literally everyone there. I can't even imagine who called the shots. Thank you, guys. It gave me a lot of hope. I have faith. And, so there were some very encouraging things here. But he's not the only one. And I do think that at some point, we have to start taking legal action. Now, I know it's hard to say, well, I've worked for this employer for so long. But if they're not treating you correctly, they're depriving you of one of your rights, then that needs to be addressed. And although the Constitution doesn't specifically give us a right to political freedom, I think that there needs to be a freedom of speech issue on it, because, it's not right that somebody gets rid of you just because you support a different candidate than they do. It's just not right. So I'm going to leave the link to this down below if you want to give him some encouraging words here. And then I wanted to remind you of this, because this is pretty much what Paul said. Never forget that voting for the right governor is just as important as voting for the right president this November. And do remember that the governors have an awful lot of power. We found that out, right? So choose wisely is the thing. I just felt like that needed to be said both times because it was really important. Okay, and this is, Senator Tom Cotton was one of them that President Trump announced as the Supreme Court justice candidate. I mean, he had a list of 20 of them, and Tom Cotton was on it. Also, Josh Hawley, who did turn President Trump down. He said that he was there to represent the people from Missouri, and that's what he felt he needed to do. So he said, thank you, but no thank you. Ted Cruz says he's willing to serve as well. Tom Cotton and Ted Cruz both said yes, they would accept it if they are nominated. But then, of course, Trump's trying to goad Biden into putting out a list because the people he's going to put out are going to be really, really liberal. And I want to remind you of this because, yes, it's still happening. I don't know what's going to happen to him. Just keep him in your prayers because, he did a great service for the entire movement, and we need to make sure that he's okay, right? Anyway, then this is the thing. If you haven't seen it, that's where President Trump was reading that list. Well, Senator Tom Cotton, though, says, he's honored that President Trump asked me to consider serving on the Supreme Court, and I'm grateful for his confidence. I will always heed the call of service to our nation. Okay, so essentially he says, yeah, if you want this. But then he turns around, and Tom Cotton does this. It's time for you-know-what to go. Oh, and so boom. Yeah, the liberals are not going to be real happy about that. But remember, if we regain the House and the Senate, then there's not going to be any way they can stop whoever President Trump's choice is for the Supreme Court. And Ruth Bader Ginsburg can't last any longer. She's not going to be able to make it 4 more years. That's just not going to be possible. And then who knows who the other ones are. I honestly think that Thomas will step down before Trump leaves, just so he can have President Trump put somebody in there who is younger and conservative. So, that would probably be my guess. I've heard a few things from Thomas lately that kind of indicate to me that he might be kind of getting tired of this. It's a tough thing to do. It's not an easy job, and he's had a hard life with it because, he came in with it such a shadow over what he did. So, that could be one. Could also be, I've heard Stephen Breyer's not all that great a health, and possibly, what was it, Sotomayor? I've heard she's had a few health issues. So I don't know. I don't know who all it would be. Possibly there'll be an issue with Roberts, and maybe he will need to step down after some things come out. Maybe there are others that need to step down too because of similar things. So, blackmail is rampant in the government. You don't know who's being controlled, and if they are, then they shouldn't be serving that position. So I wanted to share that with you. And then I wanted to share this one because Multnomah County Sheriff says, we are at a loss for words. Deputies and Corbett Fire responded to a small brush fire in the 1700 block of Northeast Brower Road in Corbett at 3:52 p.m. Neighbors heard pops and saw 6-foot flames in the forest. Using a shovel and water, they were able to put it out. Deputies found fireworks. But the media is saying, don't believe your eyes. Believe what we're telling you instead. So, I don't know. This is actually from the Multnomah County Sheriff. So, I don't know how they can call that fake news because it's not. So, and then I wanted to share this with you. This was one from the LA County Sheriffs. And they have a guy that just walked up to a car with deputies in it and started shooting. And there was he just walks up and does it. So I agree with President Trump. Something needs to be done, and it's getting very close to that happening because people aren't safe, and people don't like it when they're not safe. So something needs to be done, and he may be the white hat to come riding in on his white horse and take care of that. That might be what they're holding off just to make it happen in October. But as Mr. 17 says, sometimes people just have to see it. You have to show it to them. They have to experience it before they understand just how bad it is. Okay, well, let's get into the topic here. Now, in the last video I did, the Democrats were talking about this document, this Transition Integrity Project, which definitely does not have any integrity in it, but it's all their plan or their confession, I'm not sure which, that what they're going to do or what they have already done to interfere with the election. Okay? And it's not so much what they're going to do before, but what they're going to do after. The only thing that will work for them is going to be if Biden wins in a decisive, both the popular vote and the Electoral College. That's the only thing that's going to result in peace. What's going to happen other than that is going to be a lot of violence. That's what they said. Okay? But again, remember who put out this. It's a bunch of Trump haters who are role-playing a game, trying to figure out how Trump's going to respond to things, even though they hate Trump and they always see the worst in him. So that's what the document was. And if you haven't heard about that document or the organization, you need to check my previous video on that. But on this one, this is another part of what they're doing. The Dems are deploying DARPA-funded AI-driven information warfare tool to target pro-Trump accounts. And that's like us, okay? So an anti-Trump Democratic-aligned political action committee advised by retired Army General Stanley McChrystal is planning to deploy an information warfare tool that reportedly received initial funding from the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, which is DARPA, the Pentagon's secretive research arm, transforming technology originally envisioned as a way to fight ISIS propaganda into a campaign platform to benefit Joe Biden. See, the problem that I have is that this is to benefit one candidate. Now, if you were going in and you're going to say, we're going to stop all disinfo on both sides, that would be different. But that's not what they're doing. And what they label as disinfo is, not disinfo. They just call it that to discredit it in people's eyes. That's where they talk about defeat disinfo. Now, it says the Washington Post first reported about it, but there's a bunch, and I'm going to show you. They have a bunch of articles out there on it. And what it's all about, I got to tell you, folks, is right here, that this defeat disinfo will utilize artificial intelligence and network analysis to map discussion of the president's claims on social media, and then attempt to intervene by identifying the most popular counter-narratives and boosting them through a network of more than 3.4 million influencers across the country, in some cases paying users with large followings to take sides against the president. So that's what they're trying to do with this. That's kind of a summary of what I talked about in the previous video, but we went through the document that they put out. They themselves put out to show you what their conclusions were. And it's really very, very biased. And they call it bipartisan, but, the only Republicans on there were rhinos, never Trumpers. So that's for sure. Anyway, so this Curtis Hooglin is the guy that's in charge of Defeat Disinfo. We're going to see him in a minute. It was supposed to be originally part of an effort to combat extremism overseas. But now this here, the Post first stated that he was using this DARPA technology, but then they went back and they clarified it and said he was using open source technology initially incubated with funding from DARPA. So believe which one you want to, because I'm pretty sure that DARPA had a role in this as well. Anyway, Hooglin explained in an interview with the Post that he was unhappy that top social media accounts often supported Trump. Well, boo-hoo! That doesn't give him the right to go in and shut us all up. He can't... Oh, I'm sorry. No ranting, right? I don't see how he has a right to do this. And so he goes, and had effectively defended the president in recent days from claims that he had suggested Americans inject themselves with disinfectant. He never said that. Yeah, there's the article. What did Trump really say about disinfectant? He did not say that. They have really twisted it around. They use little short sound bites instead of the full context of the clip, so you understand what he was saying. It was very clear what he was saying. He was talking about a technology that was probably in his briefings that he had read about, and it's a light, UV light that goes down into the lungs. They put it down and they can shine it down there, and as UV lights do, they kill germs. And so if they would kill the germs, that's a technology that's actually in development. But of course, they twisted it around. Trump never said to inject yourself with disinfectant. In no way, shape, or form did he say that. They had to really twist things around to get to that. So that's the situation. This guy is just unhappy that somebody's supporting Trump. That's just how liberals work. Because if they don't like it, if they don't like who you're supporting, then, well, what do? They try to take you down. So it goes through here, and DARPA made a statement and said that no, his claim that DARPA funded the tech at the heart of his political work is grossly misleading. So I don't know about that. I don't know where it stands. And I did want to remind you about McChrystal here, because if you read General Flynn's book, Field of Fight, you understand that he really admired General Crystal. In fact, he talks about him very glowingly. But, as we've been learning, sometimes the people that you think are great people turn out to not be so good. And, it's kind of the same thing with Sidney Powell. You read her book, and she had a lot of great things to say about Judge Sullivan. And then all of a sudden, Judge Sullivan turns into a black hat instead of a white hat. So it's sometimes hard to figure out who they are and watch them all. But yeah, McChrystal is part of this. And, take down Trump. That is essentially what this is. So, anyway, the Gateway Pundit had it. And this was their take on it. I'm giving you both because even the Fox News is a little biased on it. And it's always good to have another article. So this is a good one that says Democrats are now using Pentagon-funded artificial intelligence to combat online efforts by Trump supporters to promote President Trump. So you can read through this. Again, it names Stanley McChrystal, who, if you read the full article back here on this one, it says that McChrystal does not necessarily support Biden, but if you're going after Trump and Trump supporters, who else are you going to be supporting? I mean, that's to Biden's benefit. So anyway, so they just want to combat online efforts to promote President Donald Trump's handling of the coronavirus pandemic, which, by the way, just got lowered to now it's an outbreak. It's no longer a pandemic. I think either according to Fauci or the CDC. Can't remember. But anyway, so this is an interesting article and does go back and forth. But McChrystal is a Trump hater who wanted Hillary Clinton to win the last election. So you kind of got to think about General Flynn. It would be very difficult when you have somebody that you look up to and they're your mentor in this. It would be difficult to see them turn and make a choice that's very bad for America. And remember that he was General Flynn's superior in military intelligence. So he definitely knows how to do things intel-wise. Okay, so then it goes on. It says Hooglin also founded far-left Main Street One. We're going to talk about Main Street One. All right, we're going to talk about that in a minute. It says Main Street One, a New York-based intelligence firm which aims to, quote, fix internet discourse, according to its website, sent out a blast text on Friday before the Super Bowl, notifying supporters on its mailing list that it is paying, quote, influencers to direct their friends to turn off their televisions when the president's ad airs using the hashtag #MuteTrump. This is what they do, and we're going to talk more about them in just a second. This was very interesting because shortly after all that report came out, their website went offline, and then it came back up. So, I don't know what happened, but something did, and anyway. But then we've got this article by the Daily Beast. The left secretly preps for MAGA violence after Election Day. Now, remember the report that I told you about in that other video. Their scenarios that they did, the role-playing games that they did, where they were pretending to be other people. Can you imagine John Podesta trying to pretend to be a member of the Trump team? Oh, yeah, that's going to come out fair and not skewed. But anyway, so that was the problem with it. And all of their scenarios that they went through, they all resulted in violence. Now, it wasn't MAGA violence. They didn't say that. They just said violence after the election. But, we know where the violence is coming from today, and we know where it would come from then, because think about it. If Trump wins, then why would we be violent? We have no reason to be. Who would be violent? Who would have a reason to be violent? Who was violent when Trump first won? Yeah, It wasn't those on the right. And so it's not going to be MAGA violence. That's not what's going to happen. But it says the left secretly preps. Well, they're not secret about it. They're telling us what they're going to do. Exactly. But remember, this is from the Daily Beast, and that's very left-wing skewed. So the Progressive Coalition Fight Back table has been meeting to game out what happens if Joe Biden doesn't win by a landslide. It's not pretty. Yes, because the left will just try to cause as much chaos as possible. That's what they do. And so if you read through the whole thing, this is just kind of an interesting perspective on it. If you don't hear a lot from the left, this one, will give you the left-wing idea of what it is. To formalize the effort, they gave it a name, the Democracy Defense Nerve Center. Yeah, right. So they poured over a report by the Transition Integrity Project, a bipartisan group. Remember, bipartisan, it's not. Well, it's rhinos and never Trumpers. Or rhino never Trumpers, if you would say it that way. The potential for violent conflict is high, the report noted. Yes, it does. But the hurdles were straightforward. You just have to occupy things, hold space, and shut things down, not just on Election Day, but for weeks. That's the kind of thing they would do. And like Kyle here is being lionized on the right now. If it's being unleashed that you can shoot people and be a hero, I don't know what preparation we can possibly do for that. Well, the guy is innocent. So, and then of course it brings in Move On, which is very closely related to Media Matters. And then it also mentions Rosa Brooks, who's really good friends with George Soros. So it's just like, it's all the main players right there. You've got them all. And so this fight back table is just kind of playing out and kind of implementing, I guess, what the Transition Integrity Project came up with in that document. So it's an interesting perspective. It really is. A little frustrating to read. But then they have this article. Trumpkins are losing their mind over Occupy Wall Street's faux plans for a White House siege. How do we know they're faux? I mean, how do we know they're false? Because they've said it on the 17th. That's what they plan on doing. So could be interesting. I don't know what's going to happen. But it says, set to start on September 17th and run through the election, the White House siege isn't meant to be an actual blockade of the White House. Right, because they haven't tried that before. But that hasn't stopped pro-Trump personalities from portraying the protest as an existential threat to the Trump administration and even America's system of government itself. Well, you know, you're going to lay siege to the White House. Those words themselves kind of indicate what your purpose is. So blocking the White House could be a bad thing, but you know what? It's federal land, so I tend to think that federal rules will apply. Anyway, let's get into Defeat Disinfo because, interesting site. Okay, their site has virtually nothing on it but little things to try to get people to participate in it. That's all it is. When you go here, this is all there is. Home, join the front line, take action, the latest. When you go through these different things, you know, you can see that they're just trying to get people to step up. And of course, the Twitter's disinfo crackdown makes its way down the Trump family tree, which should be a problem there, but of course not. Facebook is turning science fiction into disinfo fighting reality. And, well, you know what? Keep your eye on any memes or any pictures you may post that have political messages on them, because, as Mr. 17 says, Facebook can now crack some of the things that are on memes, which they weren't able to do before, but now they're using our military technology so they can do that. And so, yeah, that's what they're trying to do. And anyway, these are just a bunch of articles. Well, now, the really interesting thing is there's not much info on this website about who's behind it. They do have a few things, you know, because that's the thing I want to know. When I see a website, I want to know who's behind it. Well, one of the things that they have is if you contribute, you know, back here, there's a donate up here at the top. There's a donate. And if you look down at the bottom of my page, you see it says Secure Act Blue, because that's where it takes you right here. Act Blue. And if you're going to donate, that's where it goes. So it says, Democrats lost the 2016 presidential election in large part due to disinformation or real information when you were trying to spread fake news. By all measures, 2020 will be worse. The technology platforms won't stop. The White House is behind it. Yeah, they're blaming the White House for what we're doing. They can't believe that a bunch of Americans really want him reelected and believe in what he's trying to do with our country. The Democratic Party is wholly unprepared. But we can turn the tide together. Donate to Defeat Disinfo today and join the digital front line against Trump's lies. Of course, and then here's the information. Well, by proceeding with this transaction, you agree to Act Blue's terms of service. Well, guess what? When you see it says here, in the event that a campaign or committee A fails for 60 days to cash a check from Act Blue, which includes your contribution, after Act Blue makes repeated attempts to work with the campaign to ensure all checks are cashed, or B, affirmatively refuses a contribution earmarked through Act Blue, your contribution will be redesignated as a contribution to Act Blue. So it appears to me that, like Black Lives Matter and this Defeat Disinfo, all they have to do is say, no, you just send that to the party. And you put it somewhere where it can do the most good, like Joe Biden's campaign, which is basically what they've been doing. And that's the whole purpose of Act Blue. Yeah, that's what's behind it. Well, if you go in and look at the who is for this Defeat Disinfo, you see that it's hidden, and it was registered on December 31st, 2019. Again, I think this is probably the reason they registered it was because things weren't working out so well with the impeachment. And they realized it, and they thought, we got to have something else. It is done by Arizona, in Arizona. But the thing is, it's, domains by proxy, so you're not going to be getting anything on that. And I think that's something that GoDaddy goes through. So, as far as I could tell, the only address I did find was for a place right next to GoDaddy. So I'm pretty sure that's the service that they use to try to hide people's names from the who is, which I can understand because, you get spam mail if you have it there. But the really interesting thing on this is that it was updated 4 days ago. You know what? That's when everything started coming out about this. So all of a sudden, ooh, we have to update this. Well, there was a little bit more on defeatdisinfo.com. That other was .org. And it was brought in at 5/2/20. So kind of an afterthought, I guess. But again, Scottsdale, Arizona is all you're getting. And you get the domains by proxy. If this address right here is, like I said, if you do a Google of it, you find out that it's right next door to GoDaddy. So I'm assuming they work together. They're kind of part of the same thing. So that's all the more that I got out of it. But if you go to Open Secrets, then we can start looking into it because Defeat Disinfo is a PAC. And so the information has to be out there. Now, so far, they have raised, $57,000? I don't know. We'll see in a minute. They haven't, and this is how much they spent. So they haven't raised a ton. Oh, yeah, here it is. $57,000 receipts and $27,000 spent. They had zero cash on hand and to begin with, and now they have 30,000 left, which is the difference between these two numbers. Okay? Now, the thing about this is and here's all their information, and look who the treasurer is. Ben Resnik. Okay? Ben Resnik, keep him in mind because we're going to talk about him more. He's on here, actually. This is one of their FEC filings that they have to put in there, and he's listed as a treasurer somewhere on here. Where are you, Ben? I don't know. He's listed somewhere. But he is the treasurer. This is their statement, and then they get down here. This is the total that they have, the total they've used, and so forth. And then starting here, you have the people who have donated, but I found a better way to look at it. So here it is. This is on the FEC, and this is their total. And if you look here for all transactions, and then make sure you click it on amount, because that way it'll put the biggest first. And we've got $15,000 from this guy named William Kind. So I started trying to dig on him. All I found were a couple of LLCs. One was defunct, and the other one, I couldn't really find anything that it went with. So I don't know what his LLCs do, but he has a couple of them. And he's listed, I believe, as retired. So I don't know. I think he's in his 60s, if I remember correctly. I did find his address, and I saw his house on Google, and it looked like a very nice house. So, very, very nice house in California, and in a very nice section with lots of very big houses. So he's not hurting for money, definitely, and so maybe that's why he gave $15,000. But this Main Street one is the second largest. Well, actually, it's the biggest because they made two donations here. One of them was in April, and the other was in May, just a short few days apart here. $13,000 and $8,000. And they're out of New York, and we're going to talk more about them in just a minute. And then this Jason Rhodes, Brian Fargo, and then it gets into some 1,000 ones. when you look at what their occupations are, I think it's really interesting to see the occupations. Now, the 21,000, I think that was probably the main Street 1 thing, because it was not an individual, so they don't have to put an occupation. Then, yeah, 15,000, that was that William Kind. He's retired, whatever he's retired from. We had some CEOs. There was more than one of them. A biotech, professors, an attorney, software engineer, and then a little bit had none and not employed some. And if you're not employed, you've got $500 you're giving to a political action committee and you're not employed. Interesting. And then an educator here, 500. When you look at who their employers are, this is interesting too, because you get down here, Harvard University. Look at that. Harvard Business School. So just kind of interesting. It's got a Harvard connection. But let's go back to Ben here, because Ben's the treasurer, right? We saw that on the FEC documents, so we know he is. This is what Ben has to say about himself. First of all, Ben is an idiot because he doesn't understand that when you put a very light colored text and it's just hard to read. Okay? I bumped it up to 120 so you could at least see it. But, I'm sorry, the contrast on this is horrible. So anyway, he says, "Hi, I'm Ben. I'm a nerd with experience in political tech and startups. I'm chief of staff at Main Street 1, a Higher Ground Labs-funded startup," and we're going to talk about them too, "helping repair the online discourse." Helping repair the online discourse. He's not helping repair it. He's helping to write the new narrative. Remember, we talked about this. It's all about narratives. It doesn't matter if it's true or not. It's a narrative. If you've got a better story, even if it's a pack of lies, it doesn't matter. That's what they're pushing, the narrative. And here are some other projects I've worked on. You could check those out if you want to. And here are some things I've written on politics, civic engagement, and other random stuff. And resistant groups rejected the Democratic Party model in 2018 and won. Here's why. Think progress. And why the technology short game is no way to win campaigns and elections. And let's actually compare Trump to Hitler. There we go. So you can read through that. That was back in 2016. This was before he was even president, and the guy wrote this. Oh, Trump derangement syndrome started even back then, didn't it? Well, let's go to Ben's company here, because he's, the chief executive or chief of staff or something like that. People are your best channel. Messages people are ready to believe, delivered by messengers they already trust. This is how the left works. They make up stories because they think that's what people want to believe. So they make up the story. They put it out there by messengers that a lot of people trust and have big followings. And, but no, we're not doing anything bad. So, they've got COVID workers, Gen Z, and rural Americans. I don't know that that's going to work too well. But our approach is proven to change political, social, and commercial outcomes. It's proven. And real people sharing real stories. Okay, so again, this is another one of those sites that has virtually nothing on it. Really, it just has these pages and that's it. And if you go to the who is about it, you get the same thing, GoDaddy and mains by proxy. So probably similar people. Maybe Ben put this one together. And I'm not totally sure, but I thought the first time that I brought up the who is on the other site, on the Defeat Disinfo, that it had Ben's name on there. But I could be wrong on that. It's not there now, but I thought it was when I first brought it up. But Anyway, so these are the things. This is their news, toppling the pillars of a disinformation machine. It's no longer enough to slow the lies. We must speed up the truth. Okay, and this is the topsy-turvy world of the left. So switch those words around. They're not just going to slow the truth. They're going to speed up the lies. That's what we're going to see happen. And this is how they're going to accomplish it. So if you keep on going, this is the mission. And the mission says, every day people say in social and mobile media what they believe and what they want to hear. So we built technology to tell you how and when to change their minds. People are most influenced by members of their community who share their affinities and beliefs. So we built a network of 3.4 million content creators. Notice it says content creators and social influencers. So content creators are people that make things up. Okay? I mean, it's their creation, right? So it's like the people that write the stories. They write the narratives. So they've got a bunch of those, and they've got social influencers. And they're going to tell you how and when to change these people's minds and what to tell them. And we put them together to win what? Narratives online for campaigns, causes, and companies. This is campaigning in 2020. A team of information warriors. That's what we need to start calling ourselves. Information warriors. It would drive them crazy. I didn't really recognize any of them right off. Here's that Curtis Hooglin, and he's the chief executive officer. He needs to shave. Shave, Curtis, shave. That look does not look good on you. You know, some good-looking guys can get away with that. You can't. There's Ben and his big beard. So he's the chief of staff. And, you know, these are the different people. Now, again, I don't know any of them. I really didn't do a lot of research on them. But change the world with us. Join our team and operate at the forefront of data science, innovation, and social good. So you can have real impact, unlimited PTO, diversity. And if you want to, you just click here and you can come up with the form that you need. Digital Relational Organizing Fellowship. You can get a fellowship for doing it. Yeah. And they're looking for college juniors and seniors, 3 months beginning upon hire with possibility for extension, remote, work from home, or your favorite coffee shop. Paid up to $20 an hour, 15 to 25 hours a week, all majors welcome. So they're not even picky. They don't even need somebody who's in technology or in political science. Yeah. The Digital Relational Organizing Fellowship role will focus heavily on organic influencer recruitment and management. So they want them to be recruiters. Paid influencer recruitment and management. Draft copy for outreach messaging. Assisting the digital relational organizer and senior level management with various tasks and projects. Despite this being a fellowship position, you will have the opportunity to contribute ideas that meaningfully affect the company's development. On a daily basis, you will solve interesting and critical problems, make a difference on issues of national importance, and work with a team driven by passion, mission, and mutual respect. Yeah, so there you go. You can apply, right? And then I wanted to point this out because this is like under one of their tabs. And it says Facebook cost per engagement 10 times lower than the industry average. Okay? So this lady right here gets a real deal on Facebook cost per engagement. 10 times lower. So Facebook is giving these guys a huge, huge discount on advertising. I mean, that's just like ridiculous. 10 times lower. you can spend a lot of money in advertising. And she says, I can tell you that my content is resonating. Some MS1 campaigns have an average cost per post engagement on Facebook ads as low as 3 cents. That's 10 times lower than the CPC average of 31 cents. CPC is click per 100 or something. It's how they sell ads and how much they cost. So yeah, there you go. They are getting a huge break in Facebook. They're giving them just an outrageously low cost for their advertising. It's just crazy. It's absolutely insane. So let's talk a little bit more about Main Street One. I thought, well, let's see if I can find out, who's really funding it. Well, they did say that it's being funded by Higher Ground Labs, and it says it raised an undisclosed amount, but it doesn't really say who gave it to them here. But here, like I said, it does say Higher Ground Labs. So let's talk about Higher Ground Labs. Great picture there of Obama bowing to a little kid. We're in the business of saving democracy. Yeah, that's what we're in the business of doing. I'm surprised they have the flag on. They don't just have it trashed on the floor or something. Higher Grounds Lab is reimagining political technology. We invest in startups building products that help progressives win. Bingo! Who do they help win? Progressives. Right there. You got it. These are the people funding them. This is where the money's coming from. Now, who gives the money to them? That was a little trickier. I couldn't really find that, but this is as far as I got on this one. But yeah, $15 million invested, 36 startups supported, 7 entrepreneur fellowships, and 6,000 plus campaigns using our tools. Oh, yippee-ki-yay. And that's what they're doing. This is how they are trying to influence and affect the campaigns. Now, as far as I'm concerned, this is election meddling. I really think it should be. But anyway, our team influences outcomes for our companies. Here's their team. Again, I didn't really recognize anybody in this. But the board of advisors, there's a few people. It's very interesting going through this board of advisors and looking at who these people are. I didn't look up 270 strategies. I've heard of it before. I'm pretty sure it is just a Democrat type strategy. They're helping them with campaigns and helping them be strategic about their choices and the things they do. So they're kind of guiding the campaigns. You just read through some of these. This guy's from Lyft. And Tech Equity Collaborative. Yeah, equity. There you go. Got to have that too. Big things. Oh, look. Act Blue. Yeah, co-founder of Act Blue is on their advisory board. Who else do we have here? A Democratic strategist. We've got Rocket Fuel, former founder, president of Rocket Fuel. This one is the co-founder and principal of Paradigm. Man, these are just, some pretty, oh look, Perkins Coie. Oh, he's an attorney there. Gee. And this one, former director of social investment team, social finance. Yeah, we're getting some really good people here. Right, there's another 270. This guy's a 270 partner. Oh, look who this is. This one is from a partner at Covington and Burling. They're the first lawyers that Flynn had. Yeah, nice people, right? Anyway, some of the others, you just go through them, and the more you look at them, the more you're going, oh, what a list of people. So it goes on and on and on. And there's someone else. Who is it? I want to show you because, yes, there is another one. Oh, yes, Tom Wheeler, right there. He's the former chairman of the FCC. There he is. Yep, Tom. He was the 31st chairman of the Federal Communications Commission and a member of the Democratic Party, and he was appointed by President Barack Obama and confirmed by the U.S. Senate in November 2013, and he worked until 2017 when Trump replaced him. Woohoo! So, yeah, good guy, right? He's the guy that was dealing with the net neutrality stuff. And, oh, yeah. He messed things up pretty bad, and we're just now getting some of it straightened out. Anyway, so that's pretty much it. It's down here. And then when you go here, this is another one of their tabs. And, whoops, let me go up. Sorry. We bridge tech and politics. So that's really their job. And they, again, stated that we support startups building products that help progressives win. That's their whole thing. The ecosystem around progressive technology was broken. So progressives were doing a bad job with technology. So we decided we were going to start up a bunch of, different organizations that were going to take care of that. And they're going to fight back. Well, now they're in charge, and they're the ones that are going to be censoring us. So this is what they're doing right here. Yeah. They're working on an active accelerator for companies building scalable political technology, follow-on investments in companies that are prepared to scale, fellowships that allow individuals to explore ideas for solutions to problems, regular convenings for political and technology experts to forge alliances and share ideas, because they're all working for the same progressive goal, right? Yeah, to put Biden in there so he can be a puppet. So anyway, this is what they're doing. Of course, they're going to hold themselves to excellence and integrity. They always put that. And it's like, yeah, no. Curiosity. And so that's who they are. And again, when you go down, you look at some of it, it really doesn't tell you, the base things about it. Even when you go to the contact, it's like not really telling you who is behind all of this, other than, the staff and the board of directors. Those are all you can find. So very interesting. So yeah, that's what I've got for you on this one. It just seems to me like there's a whole big bunch of money being poured into technology right now on the Democrat side so they can meddle in this election. They can interfere by blocking us, by putting out counter narratives that will be lies and true disinformation. And it's just highly ironic that an organization called Defeat Disinfo is going to be responsible for defeating truth and paving the way for disinformation to be everywhere. So wow, we've got our job cut out for us in the next few weeks leading up to this election. It's gonna be tough. And I gotta tell you folks, like I said before, man, you need to have a little bit of preparation done, because I don't know what these crazies are going to throw after the election. They're going to throw a hissy fit, because Trump is not going to lose. He's going to win bigly. Definitely. So that means that we need to be on the alert. And again, if you are looking for like freeze-dried food, I've got a link down in the description, way down at the bottom, and you can get some freeze-dried food through that. And it's really good stuff. It just has it, instead of in meals, it has like individual cans. So like you can get carrots, you can get strawberries, you can get peaches, whatever the case is. So I recommend you have something on hand. And this is a good thing, because if you don't use it, hey, you can set it back on the shelf for maybe another time. And they last for 25 years if you don't open up the cans. So you're good to go, right? Anyway, so that's what I've got for you on this one. I'm sorry I don't have a shout out, because I'm just tired. So that's it for tonight. I'm kind of running out of steam here, guys. But I will try to get this up sometime on Sunday. So thanks for stopping by, and I'll see y'all later.